Advanced Therapy Solutions. Today I'm going to show you how to make a metacarpal fracture brace. So we're positioning the patient's hand flat on a piece of paper towel is fine. It's going to be discarded later. We're just tracing around the hand. The most important things that we need, so this is going to be a hand-based splint, so we can, the most important part that we need is from the PIPs distally to the wrist proximally on the page. So we're going to mark around the border of the hand. Our important landmarks are the PIP joints of the affected two fingers. So say this is for a fifth metacarpal fracture. The wrist on both sides, the MCP joint, and the we need the middle of the index finger just to find our thumb hole. Okay. So now we can turn that around and we're going to start making our pattern. So from the middle of the index finger we bring a line perfectly vertical down, and from our MCP joint on the thumb perfectly horizontal across. That's going to be the middle of our thumb hole. Okay, approximately 3 centimeters by 2 centimeters. Now going back up to the distal part, we're just drawing a line between our PIP joints on the ring and little finger, but keep it a bit more distal on the little finger. We can always cut the plastic down, we can't add it on later. That comes down proximally to our distal palmar crease, which I forgot to do. Distal palmar crease to there, across on the radial side, down to the CMC joint, to our wrist crease, and then we just make a mirror image of that on the other side without the thumb hole. We end up with something similar to that. So a really simple step is just to cut out our pattern with scissors. So I'm just using a yellow Chinagraph pen to mark around our pattern onto the thermoplastic. Today we're using Orphelite in an atomic blue colour. It's still 2.5 mil, it has the same properties as the black plastic. Okay, our plastic's heated now. I've got our splint pen at about 70 degrees, sorry. We're going to transfer this across to our towel. Now, whilst you can cold cut this thermoplastic, with this pattern being a little more intricate, it's probably better to cut it out while it's hot. Turn the thermoplastic and cut away from yourself on the left-hand side so that you can pull the excess plastic away. It's not sticking to the rest of it. So we can just put this back into the water for another few seconds. It won't take as long because we just want to fold our edges. Now this splint's going onto a right hand, so we want to fold out our thumb hole and our distal palmar crease. Okay, so it's going to be on that side. Try it on yourself, is an easy way to do it. Fold the thinner edges down so it's not sharp. Fold the distal palmar crease so it's not sharp. Okay, at this point we can put the plastic back in the water and then set our patient up into the correct position. So we want our patient positioned directly, sitting comfortably with their elbow resting on the table, so you're not chasing them around. Their wrist is in a straight position and their hand is in approximately 60 degrees of MCP joint flexion. So maybe just a bit straighter there, Tim. Okay. Now, as you're applying the splint, you want to be approaching the dorsal aspect of their hand. That way you get control over wrist flexion and extension, radial and ulnar deviation. Okay, cool. So our plastic should be ready now. We take it out of the water. Okay, our folds will still be in place. Just test it on your own skin that it's not too hot, and it's not. Okay, our patient's ready to go. Now we're approaching from the back part of the hand. Use the stretch in the material over the thumb, really pulling that down. I want to come around a little bit there. Just move your head, Tim. Sorry. And then using the stretch in your material, we're going to pinch the thermoplastic between the fingers and then pinch it on the back part of the hand, just so that it's just staying in position. Okay, so we've secured it, and now we're making sure we mould it in the correct position. Good. Now, I think a lot with splinting is less is more, and if your patient's compliant, they're holding the position well, and I think there's not so much need to touch the thermoplastic. Just let it set in the position that you've got. Good. So we're just cutting down our edges. I want to bring it down around below the adjacent MCP. We're making a nice square edge to attach our Velcro hook to. Probably neaten up this side as well. Okay. On the dorsal aspect also, we need to make sure that it's sitting through the axis of the PIP joints on both fingers, which is approximately there, I'm guessing. We can always cut down more later. And then on the volar surface, sorry Tim, we can just guess where proximal to the PIP joint is. Okay, probably gonna have to fold up so that Tim can bend his wrist, flex and extend his wrist. Okay. Now I haven't cut exactly on my marked edge there because I'm probably going to roll that edge as well, and that's quite simple. We can just dip it in the water. The plastic is still warm, so it won't take too long to become soft, and we can just roll that edge. So before you go ahead and put straps on, there's a couple of just final checks that you should be making. You want to see that you've got a nice, 50 to 60 degree bend at the MCP joint. You want to make sure that the dorsal aspect of the hood is longer than the volar aspect of the hood. That gives support to keep the MCP joint in flexion, but allows PIPs to flex. Okay. Now I like to bond the straps directly to the thermoplastic. So we need to heat our Velcro loop for about 3 seconds, heat our thermoplastic for about 3 seconds, and join them together. So our splint's ready to be tried on the patient. Okay, we're ready for the final fitting. It's a little awkward to get your hand into it. The patient has to flex their thumb, flex their fingers. Okay. The straps need to be done up firmly, but not overly tight. And we can cut down the excess of our straps. Curved edge or a straight edge, whatever you prefer. Okay. Now there's a few last checks. We've got to check that our patient can flex their 2 unaffected fingers, which they can. We've got to make sure that the thumb can oppose at least to the first, to the second and third, and possibly to the fourth, which is good. And we're making sure that it's comfortable, MCPs are flexed nicely, and that they can flex the PIP joints of their affected fingers. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.